All right, my dear brothers and sisters, we have arrived at the book of Amos, and this is a spectacular one. Now, it's a short one. You're not going to see a lot of post-production in this one because I only have a very small area that I want you to focus on. Now, the book is not as short as some of the other books, but what I want you to focus on is very limited, but there are a couple of facts that I do want you to know about this book. First and foremost, if you want to go over the general summary of the book, I did that last year. You can go back and get it on the BIBLEin365 YouTube page or on the site at Proclaim Streetwear. You can find it all there or on the app. However, what I do want you to look at with Amos are a couple of things. First of all, you should know this. Amos was a prophet who ministered predominantly in the southern kingdom, which of course would be Judah, but he had a message to the northern kingdom during the reign of Uzziah. Of course, Uzziah being in the southern kingdom around the time of Isaiah. Remember, when Uzziah died, Isaiah was stricken by that. He was very hurt by that situation. And of course, he also ruled during the time of Jeroboam II, not to be conflated with Jeroboam I, two very different people. Now, this is very interesting and unique because Amos lived in a very, very, very unique time. We're talking about roughly 790 to 750 BC, and he actually does something that I want you to focus on chapter 9. Now, just so that you know, before we get into chapter 9, look at all of the other chapters. The majority of the other chapters speak of God's coming judgment on Israel to the north, but then when you get to the discussion concerning the restoration of Israel, he's talking about Israel as a nation, not just the southern kingdom, okay? So when you go to Amos 1 through 2, he's talking about the doom of Israel and all of the nations that exist that are around there. He talks about Samaria later on in Amos 3, Amos 4. This is the very famous passage where Amos says, hey, prepare to meet your maker. And when you hear a prophet of God actually say something like that, you probably don't want to hear those words. Then we learn about what he calls the day of God in chapter 5, which we talk about in the last teaching there. And then, of course, the three visions of destruction, which we get into a little bit later, the basket of ripe fruit. By the way, I do all this teaching on the book of Amos and any of the other books that we do summaries of. I have it all available online at jamescadiz.com. You can grab any one of those Bible studies, and I give you a lot more in-depth teaching concerning that. But here's the area that I want you to focus on, and that is Amos chapter 9. Now, I'm going to actually pull up my Bible program here because I want to read something spectacular in Amos chapter 9, and I want you to know this. It is very interesting. I had an incredible opportunity to read this to the Consul General of Israel today, the day that I actually did this recording, and to declare to him as a representative of the nation of Israel that God is not done with them, and certainly God has a great plan. Look what it says in verse 11 of Amos chapter 9. It says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord that doeth this. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and the hills shall melt, and I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof, and they shall make gardens and eat the fruit of them." Interesting how now here we are post 1948, and the nation of Israel is one of the #1 exporters of fruit in the whole world. Pretty amazing thing when you think about it. And look what God says at the very end. He says, "And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God." What a powerful passage. God's not done with the nation of Israel, and I want you to dig into chapter 9 because the promises that are there are glorious. You need to know Amos 9 if you're going to know good, solid Bible prophecy and all about the relationship of Israel to Almighty God. It is incredibly important. You need to know this. Please, whatever you do, do not skip out on looking at chapter 9. It is the most important chapter of the book of Amos, and it's critical for you to understand everything else. Pretty powerful stuff, guys. And guess what? God is doing an amazing work through your efforts to study the word, and I'm very proud of you. Keep fighting the good fight. Love you guys.